Most people struggle to learn new skills, not because they lack talent, but because their approach is chaotic. We jump between tutorials, switch teachers, try new techniques every week, and constantly compare our progress with others. Every time something feels difficult, we change the method instead of understanding the process. The result is predictable: slow progress, growing frustration, and the belief that some people are simply naturally gifted. But in truth, the problem is not ability, it's structure. In traditional Japanese arts, students learned faster and more deeply than most modern learners, despite having fewer resources and no technology. Samurai, calligraphers, and craftsmen mastered complex skills through a system that eliminated confusion and created steady, predictable improvement. They didn't rely on motivation or inspiration. They relied on a path that guided the learner from beginner to expert with clarity. That path was built on 3 stages, known as Shu-Ha-Ri, supported by the foundation of Kihon, the fundamental movements. These stages created a progression that made learning natural, smooth, and deeply effective. If you want to learn anything faster, a language, a craft, a sport, or a creative skill, this is the method that makes mastery inevitable. For Japanese masters, learning was never a random collection of techniques. It was a path with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A journey each student walked with patience and clarity. They believed that progress becomes fast only when the structure is simple. Confusion slows the mind, order accelerates it. Instead of trying everything at once, they followed a clear progression that allowed skill to grow layer by layer, without overwhelm or hesitation. At the core of this system were 3 stages that shaped every art, from swordsmanship to calligraphy. Shu, the stage of perfect imitation. Ha, the stage of breaking form through experimentation. And Rei, the stage of mastery where technique becomes instinct. Underneath these stages lay Kihon, the fundamental movements, the building blocks repeated every day, regardless of level. No matter how skilled a master became, Kihon grounded their practice. This structured approach removed guesswork from learning. A beginner knew exactly what to do, and an advanced student understood how to evolve. Instead of rushing toward results, students focused on moving through the stages with precision. In this video, we will explore these 3 stages one by one, and learn how you can apply them to learn any skill faster, deeper, and more consistently. Shu, the first stage of the Japanese learning path, means to obey or to protect the form. It is the phase where the student copies the master exactly. Movements, rhythm, timing, even the smallest details that seem unimportant. In martial arts, a beginner repeats the same stance and strike hundreds of times without changing anything. In calligraphy, the student traces the master strokes until the brush feels like an extension of the hand. Shu is not about creativity. It is about building a foundation so stable that future growth becomes effortless. Modern learners often resist this stage. We want to express ourselves immediately, experiment early, and jump ahead to advanced techniques. But this impatience creates gaps in understanding. Without solid fundamentals, every new skill becomes shaky. The samurai knew that mastery collapses without a strong base, so they treated Shu as the most sacred part of learning, the place where the mind becomes still and the body absorbs the correct form. Shu feels repetitive and even boring, but that is its strength. Repetition removes hesitation. It eliminates bad habits before they form. It creates clean, reliable technique. Shu ensures that when you move to the next stage, you are not fighting confusion. You are building on clarity. Applying Shu in modern life begins with choosing one teacher, one method, and one set of fundamentals, instead of scattering your attention across endless resources. When you commit to a single approach, the noise disappears, and the brain can focus deeply. Whether you are learning a language, coding, drawing, or playing an instrument, the first goal is to copy correctly before trying to innovate. This is not a limitation. It is a shortcut to speed. The most powerful technique is deep repetition with low speed. Instead of rushing through tasks, intentionally move slowly, paying attention to precision. In Japanese dojos, students often practice basics at half speed to ensure that every movement is clean. This method rewires the brain far faster than fast, sloppy repetitions. Another important part of Shu is embracing boredom. If an exercise feels repetitive, it means you are finally training the part of the skill that matters. Do not switch techniques each time something feels dull. Stay with the form until it becomes automatic. You will know Shu is complete when you can perform the fundamentals consistently without thinking, even under pressure. Only then does the next stage, Ha, truly begin. Ha, the second stage of the Japanese learning system, means to break or to detach. It is the moment when a student, having absorbed the fundamentals through Shu, begins to bend the rules, explore variations, and understand the deeper principles behind the technique. In martial arts, this might look like altering the rhythm of a strike or adjusting a stance to respond to a different opponent. In calligraphy, it is experimenting with pressure, speed, and ink texture to discover new expressions of the same character. The purpose of Hei is not rebellion for its own sake. It is the transition from imitation to interpretation. During this stage, the student starts to see what lies beneath the surface, how timing, intention, and awareness shape technique more than form alone. While Shu builds the foundation, Ha opens the door to creativity. Modern learners often attempt Ha too soon. Without strong fundamentals, experimentation becomes random, not meaningful. But when you enter Ha at the right moment, your skill grows rapidly. You begin to solve problems intuitively, adapt to new situations, and discover your personal best methods. Ha transforms learning from mechanical repetition into intentional exploration, a critical step on the road to mastery. Applying Ha in modern learning means shifting from strict imitation to thoughtful experimentation, but only after your fundamentals are reliable. Once you can perform the basics with consistency, you earn the freedom to bend them. This is the moment where learning accelerates. Because you no longer follow instructions blindly, you begin to understand the logic behind them. One effective method is variation training. Take a skill you learned in Shu and practice it under new conditions. Faster, slower, mirrored, with different tools, or in an unfamiliar environment. These small challenges reveal how technique behaves in real situations and expose weaknesses you couldn't see before. In martial arts, this creates adaptability. In creative work, it develops style. In coding or design, it builds flexibility and problem-solving intuition. Another approach is intentional mistakes, deliberately altering one aspect of the technique to see how it affects the whole. This teaches you to recognize patterns and principles, not just steps. During Ha, analysis becomes as important as repetition. Keep a notebook, Track what works and what doesn't, and refine your process. Ha is where skill becomes personal. It's the bridge between copying and creating, the stage where your learning begins to take on its own character. Ri, the final stage of the Japanese learning path, means to leave, to transcend, or to go beyond the form. At this level, the student is no longer bound by technique. The fundamentals learned in Shu and the variations explored in Ha merge into a state of effortless expression. In martial arts, movements become instinctive. The warrior does not think about stance or timing. The body responds naturally. In calligraphy, the brush flows freely, guided more by intention than by conscious control. Ri is not a place where rules disappear. It is the place where rules live inside you so deeply that you no longer need to consciously follow them. The technique becomes part of your identity. Decisions arise instantly, without hesitation or doubt. This is why Japanese masters often say that true mastery is mind without mind, a state where action happens before thought. In modern life, Ri looks like fluency, speaking a language without translating, designing without second-guessing, coding without checking every step, performing without fear. It is the moment when learning feels light, joyful, and natural. You are no longer practicing the skill, you are living it. Rai is the destination of the path, the stage where preparation transforms into instinct. Applying Ri in modern life means recognizing that mastery is not a single moment of brilliance, but the accumulation of countless small repetitions and experiments. Rai becomes possible only after you have moved through Shu and Ha without rushing. When the fundamentals are automatic and your variations flexible, you begin to act with a sense of natural ease. This is where skill turns into intuition. One practical sign of entering Ri is the ability to solve problems instantly. You can identify mistakes the moment they occur and correct them without stopping. Another sign is fluid creativity. Ideas appear without force, and solutions unfold before you consciously think them through. Writers describe this as flow, musicians as feel, fighters as no mind. All of these are expressions of Ri. To cultivate this stage, give yourself space to create without strict rules. Set aside sessions where you allow instinct to lead. Record your work, observe your patterns, and trust your internal sense of direction. At this level, overthinking becomes the enemy. Confidence and presence become essential. Rai does not mean perfection. It means freedom. The ability to express your skill fully, naturally, and with quiet certainty. When you place Shu, Ha, and Ri side by side, a simple truth becomes clear. Learning does not accelerate through force, intensity, or talent. It accelerates through structure. Shu creates stability by removing chaos from the early stages. You copy one form, follow one teacher, and build one strong foundation. Ha creates adaptability by helping you understand principles rather than blindly repeating movements. And Ri creates freedom, the ability to act naturally, intuitively, and confidently without relying on constant analysis. Together, they form a progression that allows any skill to grow in depth and speed. Kihon, the fundamentals, ties the entire system together. It is the constant thread running through all three stages. Even when a master reaches Ri, he still returns to Kihon, because mastery is not a straight line, but a spiral. Each return strengthens the base, and each repetition reveals new layers of understanding. This continuous cycle is what allows skill to evolve endlessly. Most modern learners are stuck because they try to live in all three stages at once, copying, improvising, and overthinking simultaneously. But when you follow the Japanese progression step by step, learning becomes smooth and predictable. You stop guessing what to do next. The path guides you, and progress becomes inevitable. Japanese masters understood that speed in learning has nothing to do with rushing. It comes from moving through the right stages at the right time. Shu gives you clarity when everything feels overwhelming. Ha gives you adaptability when the basics no longer challenge you. Ri gives you freedom when your skill becomes a natural extension of who you are. And Kihon, the fundamentals, holds the entire journey together, reminding you that true mastery is built on simplicity. You do not need talent to learn faster. You need structure. You need a path that prevents confusion, protects your progress, and allows your mind to grow without pressure. Shu, Ha, and Ri provide exactly that, a system that has guided warriors, artists, and craftsmen for centuries. If you want to master anything, a language, an art, a sport, a craft, commit to walking this path. Begin with one teacher, one method, one foundation. Move to experimentation only when you're ready. Allow intuition to lead once your technique becomes part of you. If these ideas helped you, feel free to share what skill you want to master. And if you'd like more timeless Japanese wisdom, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. And remember, your path begins with Shu.